All right. Welcome to today's show, guys. Type in freedom now. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide at McBean Law. We do have some breaking news to discuss today, involving what's happening on Capitol Hill, certainly. And also, I want to speak with you guys about asylum. Something big is happening with asylum here in the United States. So come on in and type in freedom now, freedom now, freedom now, if that's what you truly believe in. Welcome to Instagram. Thank you for being with me. TikTok, thank you. McBean Immigration TV on YouTube. Hello, hello. And we're just trying to get Facebook set up right now. Friends, we're reachable at 914-898-9488, or you can always email us at info@mcbeanlaw.com and book an appointment. Book an appointment. That would be the purpose of emailing us, okay? We do not answer questions, immigration questions by email. We prefer to meet one-on-one with you to have 30 minutes with you to go over what the problem is and how we might be able to assist you. And if there's no way forward, or nothing that can be done under the law, certainly we would discuss that as well. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Also, let me know if the audio is good on your end. Is the audio crystal clear? Crystal clear? Crystal clear on your end. Freedom now, freedom now, freedom always, freedom first, says Francisco. Definitely. Thank you so much. Now, friends, let's just get into the first big thing, the first big news that I really think that we need to discuss together. It has to do with the fact that last week on Friday, the Senate passed the budget reconciliation bill with $70 billion for ICE and CBP. $70 billion. As some of you might already be aware of, the Democrats tried in the early part of this year to push back on fully funding or providing to ICE and CBP the budget requests that it had on the table back then. Why? Because of the big events involving the what we saw in Minnesota with the killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, and the Democrats really pushed to have some sort of additional controls over ICE. Controls that they needed, that we all need in place to rein in the behavior that we saw and the abuse of power that we saw play out right in front of our eyes. None of that apparently made its way into what the Senate did on Friday. And so this is something that's pretty significant and concerning. The House is expected, according to CBS News, CNBC, the House is expected this week to vote on the 70 billion immigration funding package. It did pass on Friday, as I've noted, 52 to 47, with only one senator, Senator Murkowski from Alaska, the only Republican to vote against this package. Everyone else supported it, and now it's over on the House side for their consideration. It's not working. That's fine. We tried. Thank you. So now, as far as this bill, just a refresher, 38.6 billion is for ICE. 38.6 billion for ICE, 22.6 billion for Border Patrol. And, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Their goal, of course, is to add, they'd like to add a lot more people, a lot more agents on the street, a lot more surveillance power and capabilities. That's really what they're pushing for, of course. It would have been great, honestly. It would have been great if we were able to get some of those constitutional protections and safeguards built in to this, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. So let's just watch what the House does this week. It's expected to pass the House this week. Secondly, guys, let's jump over to the fact that denaturalization. Let's talk about denaturalization. We know that denaturalization, through a memo that the Department of Justice published, um, uh, drafted last year that denaturalization is a very big priority to the administration, particularly on the civil side of things. On the civil side of things, they're looking to expand the pool or categories of individuals who would fall into potentially being um, uh, 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 caught up in a civil process in federal court, a denaturalization process. If you'd like to learn more about these categories and how broad this has gotten, watch some videos that I have on McBean Immigration TV. I have an entire series on denaturalization and what the government proposed to do and what they're now, and really what they're now doing. They've started. For instance, if individuals committed certain financial crimes against the United States being the federal government, so we're talking about an agency like the IRS or any other federal agency through maybe PPP, loan fraud, issues, they could potentially be denaturalized as well. The categories are so broad now and big. So what's happened recently is that the the Justice Department has filed these complaints in various federal courts across the country. 17 U.S. citizens are accused of immigration fraud, among some other problems that the government is alleging that they have. And CBS News has an article about this. Trump administration launches largest ever effort to denaturalize U.S. citizens accused of fraud or other crimes. Now, on this list, of course, are individuals with some very serious crimes. I won't get into what those crimes are, but the point is that they've started on this. 17 doesn't really sound like a lot, obviously, but still, right? They they are they're pushing it. They're pushing it. Whereas in the past, very, very, very few people would even very, very few people would be caught up in denaturalization efforts by the federal government. But these complaints are out there in federal court, and I do expect that more cases would obviously be filed by the civil division, not on the criminal side, but on the civil side to denaturalize these individuals. Thirdly, friends, we on Friday we saw something very big. We saw something very big on come through on the 39 country USCIS adjudication hold problem. Okay. A federal court, or the federal court in Rhode Island, issued a long decision by the chief judge, basically slamming USCIS, slamming their policies, calling their policies unlawful, and vacated those policies. We're talking about the 39 country USCIS adjudication hold, the global asylum hold, the negative factors policy, and the comprehensive review policy. Now, we're expecting obviously for the government to push back in a very strong way to seek a stay of this decision. And of course, they're going to appeal this decision. And some of us suspect that they're going to take this all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court through the shadow docket, the emergency docket of the Supreme Court, and ask them to weigh in on this decision by this court in Rhode Island. The government, just so you know, based on experience, we've seen that they do not just roll over and accept these decisions. They really do fight back. And although on the one hand, this is a great news, right? Oh, the policy has been lifted. Then that means that today USCIS got to work on your applications. The hold has been lifted off of everyone. I think we've got to be careful about reaching that particular conclusion. Because from what we're seeing the government really push back on legal immigration, really push back on um, the idea of not only granting certain people benefits like individuals from the 39 countries, well, now we're seeing a broader push to really move adjustment of status, which they've called a loophole, set that aside, so to speak, and have folks consular process instead of getting a green card here in the United States. That thinking hasn't walked away or gone away. It's still there, and cases have slowed down. So the delay and enforcement, the delay is what I think a lot of people will be experiencing over the next couple of years, in addition to just continual pushback and by the courts, and then the government has to ease up a little bit and allow some people to get their benefits, but still kind of hold on, right, to not adjudicating all the way to the end, and then you push back a little bit through the court system. There's this fight that has to happen with the oversight from the court to get the USCIS to ease off a little bit off of these people's applications or that person's applications. It's really going to be like that, guys. It's going to be a fight all the way through, which is why I still believe that litigation is really the future of immigration under this administration. That's the nature of it now. It's really pushing back. Okay, so yes, on the one hand, good news. Second, but on the other hand, we need to expect that the appeal is going to happen, and I don't know how the Supreme Court is going to come out on this decision. We'll see if they do the right thing or not. For us, we're still pushing back. We filed a lawsuit on Friday, a 39-country lawsuit on Friday in the in Maryland, with 214 plaintiffs in that particular lawsuit. And I think it was Monday, we filed another lawsuit in Boston, which is our second one in Boston, with 103, I think, maybe people in plaintiffs in that case. And we have round 3. We are going to work on round 3. Onboarding ended for us yesterday. It did end yesterday. For even yesterday, people were still signing up and paying. They still want to be part of it because they understand that it is going to be a fight all the way through. And so we're working on round 3 right now. The 75 country immigrant visa pause, that is still in effect. I'm seeing all of the comments and questions come through. Well, what about that? What about that? Friday's decision didn't touch that. Friday's decision doesn't impact that. However, I did share additional thoughts with you guys on Friday evening about the 75 country hold, and how maybe there's a little bit of certain arguments that could be pulled from what the court did on Friday that could benefit the 75. Watch Friday's live session on YouTube for more information on what I've shared. Okay. All right. Double tap the screen and certainly hit that follow button if you're joining for the first time on TikTok. Double tap the screen, hit and follow, follow. All right. Freedom now. Freedom now. Thank you, guys. Okay, I see that the audio is good everywhere. Terrific. Okay, let's talk about asylum. Asylum, yes. Asylum has been under attack from day one. Okay, what are they doing now? What's happening now with asylum? Well, now with asylum, it's being reported. This is not in effect yet, but it's just being reported that for those of you who are here in the United States and you'd like to apply for asylum, if you do so late after the 1-year deadline, well, now what they're considering is just immediately pushing you into the removal system, bypassing USCIS altogether, no interview at USCIS's office, just pushing you right into the court system for an immigration judge to take the case, to handle your asylum case. That's what the big talk is right now around asylum. That's we're certainly watching and waiting for the policy to be issued about this. But traditionally, USCIS, if you did an affirmative asylum filing, it goes straight to USCIS for them to work on. And for some of you, that asylum case sits there for 7 years, 8 years, or even longer for some people. And you're waiting for that interview. And while you're waiting for that interview, you're then you have the ability to work through the work permit process. The government is saying, well, if you've been in the United States more than a year, longer than a year, and you had not filed for asylum, we're going to put your case into the immigration system. That's what the talk is currently. So certainly speak with an immigration lawyer to see whether you do have an asylum case that you should file affirmatively and you have an exception to that 1 year deadline. There are exceptions. Speak with a lawyer about that before you apply for asylum. And again, this is not out yet officially. It is being reported that that's the big push around asylum. Let's see, I wanted to, and for reference, you could certainly look at the CBS News article. Trump administration plan would allow for quick asylum rejections without interviews, internal documents show. So this is according to a CBS News article from last week. All right. Now, I think that covers all of the news that are on my agenda to cover today. I'm going to now begin answering questions from you. Freedom Now. All right, I see someone is joining from Pennsylvania. Hello there, Cynthia. Thank you for being here. Let's see. We are in a new office, guys. We moved over the weekend, and my colleagues will be sharing some details with you through our stories. And we have a lot of exciting things happening around here. But we're in a terrific space right next door to where we were, so we didn't go very far. We didn't go very far, but it is a new space, and I finally have a podcast section in my new office. So I'm very happy about that. That's what you guys are seeing behind me here, my little setup. Freedom Now. Okay. Here's a denaturalization question. Can you be denaturalized or have your green card revoked if you owe money to the IRS? No. You cannot be denaturalized just because you owe the IRS money. Again, go back and watch my denaturalization videos from 2025, breaking it down in a very detailed way what they're proposing under this administration with denaturalization. Why is it that when you try to log into USCIS, it doesn't show that your case is in progress? I don't know, Mark, what's going on there, but I have heard that for some people, they try to log in and, like nothing is there. They've taken down the information. I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. I just know that generally speaking, there's pushback, they're trying to frustrate, delay, deny. We're back to all of that, right? Delay, deny, frustrate. That's what it's all about. I suspect maybe something like that could be going on, or maybe they're making some updates. Don't know. Let's see. Thank you for your gifts on TikTok. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Freedom Now. Any chance that they're going to lift the pause on the 75 country? I think so. Absolutely. I think so. Why? Because they have a bigger plan in mind, a bigger plan around public charge in mind to weed out as many people as possible from certain countries. So I think once that final rule is put in place, I think that it wouldn't make sense at that point to continue to pause the immigrant visa process for individuals from those 75 countries. The travel ban, I suspect that the travel ban, however, that applies to the 39 countries, will be in effect for the entire term that President Trump is in office. But as far as the public charge one is concerned, I suspect that that one will be lifted once they put in place the bigger public charge one, which will make it a lot harder for individuals to get a visa, an immigrant visa or green card to come to the United States. Double tap the screen. Thank you guys for joining me this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you. Can you please let us know that if the pause for cases of the specific countries has been lifted or not? So the 39 we've talked about the Dorcas decision from Friday. Watch Friday's video to get into the details of that. We're still waiting to see the compliance part. from USCIS. Are they going to comply with court order or not? Or are they going to comply in theory only? Or will there be real movement on those cases that have been paused for 6 months? We're all eagerly waiting to see what they're going to do. If you've been married for 24 months to a US citizen, will you get a 10-year green card or the 2-year one? So you're gonna, the rule says that if at the time that when the government approves your green card, if you've been married for 2 years or longer, you'll get the 10-year green card, not the 2-year green card. Okay, let's go here. And thank you. Should I submit final criminal disposition to USCIS after completing probation? They already have a copy of the first disposition. So with USCIS, you want to share with them the documents that they're asking for from you. Share it with them only if they're asking it from you, right? So for instance, let's say you have a request for evidence, then you share it with them in that process, right? However, if you had already shared the records with them based on a request for evidence that they had sent you, and now you have new records, well, it's not advisable for you to then say, okay, I'm just going to now send this new stuff to them. That could really slow things down for you. But certainly if you get an interview, you could bring everything new that you have, bring it with you to that interview, but don't just randomly start sending USCIS stuff. It just, the process isn't really geared for that type of update. Freedom now, guys. I hope you had a good weekend. We moved this weekend, so some of us are really worn out from the very big office move. Thank you. Freedom now, freedom now. Let's see. Let's go down a little bit. Pausing immigrant visas, then almost releasing a memo to adjust status from home countries. They planning to cut it off. Okay, it looks like that's just a comment, not a question. Again, more questions about do we know when they're going to make a decision about the 75 countries? No, I do not know. I wish they gave us a timeline like, oh, in 90 days, you should expect the new public charge rules or whatever. I haven't seen anything. Can someone come back to the United States for working? Oh, hold on a second. Working for me on my... I'm not going to answer any questions about illegality, just so you know, about people working on your social and things like that. That's not appropriate for this forum. Anything new about VAWA? I don't have anything new on VAWA today. Any movement for cases from the 39 countries? I won 40 OPT working permits, for example. I could only speak about the plaintiffs in our cases and not broadly. I don't know what's happening with other people, but we are starting to see some movement. We're still counting and monitoring, and it is a meticulous process with the court right now and with USCIS. Tracking their compliance. It's kind of a bear, but it's part of the litigation process. Should I apply for my husband now? I'm a green card holder, or should I just wait until the administration leaves? Well, where's your husband? Is your husband here in the United States, or is he, back home? Why would you want to do it now? Well, to get him in line, certainly, to get him in line. But, if he's here in the United States and he's overstayed his visa, you won't be able to get him to the finish line until you become a naturalized citizen. I feel like I need to know more information from you in order to, really tell you what's best in that scenario. There was a time when I would, just easily just say, oh, get him in line, do it now, and then you could just transition over to an immediate relative filing. But I'm a little bit cautious in giving that kind of tip via social media because times have changed and times have changed and these things have serious consequences. Thank you for the hearts. Double tap the screen. Okay, let's go down. My 9-year-old son and I went on our interview on May 12th. We did not get a response. The interview went well until Friday gone. My son's EAD was approved. Why is that? So if I understand you correctly, you and your son went on your interview, and this was in May 12th. Today's June 8th. You had a good interview, and your son was only approved of the EAD. I suspect truly it's because these USCIS officers might have been told that they should not approve the I-485. They should just not approve adjustment of status yet. I've heard it. I think this was actually from one of our clients, the lawyer, my colleague. It's right. Her office is right next to mine, actually. Went on an interview last week, and the officer said to her and to our client, give it 120 days. And this was an AOS interview. So there's something going on there. So they threw him a little bone by approving this EAD. And that's all that they're doing right now. And that's because I really think that there's a global issue happening with adjustment of status. Can't quite prove it yet. If you've had your adjustment of status case approved over the last 3 months, can you just share that information with us, please? If you're watching and your adjustment of status was approved over the last 3 months. My partner sent you an email. Okay. The best way of communicating with us is by booking an appointment, a consultation. You can do so by calling 914-898-9488 or go to info@mcbeanlaw.com. Double tap the screen and follow if you have not yet started following us on TikTok. How long does it take for the I-130 to be approved U.S. citizen child? Let's see, I think it was a U.S. citizen. It might have been the F1 category. That's going to take several years, maybe 8 years, 7 to 8 years, something like that. Thank you, guys. Come on in, say hello, and type in freedom now. I had a meeting with a couple of folks who work with me on marketing. We had our meeting this morning, and I said, how are people feeling? How are they feeling? And one person said, they are tired. He said, they're tired, they're fatigued. And then another, they're frustrated. And then I said, from my standpoint about how you're feeling, I said, I think that it's just the up and down. They get a good news today, then tomorrow it's a bad news. And then, it's this yo-yo thing going on. But you guys tell me how you're feeling. You're here in front, we're together. Tell me how you're feeling. I think we're right. We hit the nail on the head on all fronts. You're tired, you're frustrated, and it's just this yo-yo thing going on that is so frustrating. But we're pushing through, we're slugging through, right? We got through year one. We got through year one, guys, and we're halfway there for year two. We'll get there. I have a green card. I've had a green card since 2021. And I just received a notice of termination of my immigrant visa registration. So you had a case pending at the National Visa Center, but you adjusted your status maybe and got your green card here. It's quite possible that the NVC still had a case active for you. I don't know if that's what that means. It sounds to me like that's what it means. Double tap the screen. How are you guys feeling? Tell me, please, because my colleagues and I, we were talking about that this morning. Yeah, someone says, please update us about your plan for round three. Yeah, sure. So, like I said earlier, our plan is to continue to push ahead. Yes, I'm on the other hand, I am watching to see about this appeal and this push for a stay that the government is likely to do. But we're working on it, and I suspect that will. I really suspect that this push for a stay and maybe to the shadow docket will not be a very slow process for the government. So let's see how that goes. But from my standpoint, we're still plugging away. We're still fighting. We're still filing. We're still moving ahead because we know what kind of game is being played here and what's happening with immigration today. And it's all going to come down to enforcing these court orders. That's what it's going to come down to, guys. I do not have any specific information on the K-1 application process now. I don't know if I don't think anything has changed. I don't have anything new to share about that. What about those who have completed their family-based interviews? What about those people who have what's happening for some people is they're being told that they'll have to wait on adjustment of status approval or just the I-130 is approved, or like this lady said on Instagram a few minutes ago that her son's work permit was approved after the interview, after waiting almost a month post interview for just that. So hopefully he'll get his green card and you'll get your green card very soon. And if you do get your green card, please report out. Report out. So that's what's happening these days. Freedom now. I like it in all caps. Muhammad did it in all caps. Hey there, Sandra. Thank you so much. Freedom now. Freedom now. Like I said, we moved. We're in a new location, but right next door to our old office. And some of you had already started coming in. Said, how did they walk-ins, which we don't by the way, we don't do same day interviews or any consultations or anything like that. But it was kind of funny. We've only been here for a few hours and all these people came in so far. But yes, we're at 237 Mamaroneck Avenue, lower level. And this is where the only ones here, okay? So we have moved. It's a very nice space. You're going to be very comfortable here. But for those of you who come in, we take appointments by telephone, in person, and by Zoom. Okay. Can I file for a change of status? You might be able to. You might be able to. Are you in lawful status at this time? What type of visa do you have? Speak with a lawyer about that. Speak with a lawyer. It's a basic thing, right? Change of status. So basic. So we don't really do a lot of those because they are really that simple. But in this environment, before you file for a change of status, absolutely speak with a lawyer so that you understand whether you have a good case or not. Because if they deny even that, they could place you in removal proceedings. My son is going in tomorrow. Someone says here, going in where? To an interview? It's been a whole year since I applied for my husband. Which country is your husband located in? It's been a whole year. The process has slowed down. Is it likely that USCIS will start adjudicating the cases for 39 countries based on the federal judge ruling on Friday? Khan is asking. Khan, I've shared my opinion about it. Like I said, I think it's going to be a fight all the way through. I really do. It could be a blanket statement that they issue saying, we will, of course, follow court order. you know. But then the question is, well, how long are they going to take to process your application? Have they started on it today? Are they giving you a decision? Are you getting a decision this week after waiting a year? That's going to really be part of it. Like, how long is it going to take to get you to that finish line? Yeah, we'll do what the court says. Yeah, but in what manner? So that's where litigation comes in. Okay. Freedom Now. Is it a good time to apply for, is it a good time to apply for some, those who are out of the United States? If she's in one of the ban countries, which ban? Is it a travel ban, or is it, the 75 immigrant visa ban? Timeline will, it just depends on which ban you're referring to. Because like I said, the travel ban, that's another 2.5 year ban that I think that we're facing. Wow, I'd really like to talk about something good right now. US immigration has gotten so dicey, so tough, but you could still get through. Although it is harder than ever, you could still get through with the right strategy, and it's all about good timing as well. Let's go down. That's why I'm not hearing anything. My paperwork was submitted last year, January, and up until now, I have not heard anything. When I try contacting USCIS online, there's no information. Yeah. Is it safe for VAWA applicants to travel domestically with their travel documents and EAD? To travel domestically, you won't need a travel document, by the way. Your EAD, that's also good to have. It's fine maybe, but it's just that, if you're in the removal system, or if you have an old removal order and you filed the I-360 and that's pending, I don't think it's a good idea for you to get on an airplane. Freedom Now. I'm not sure about the timing of renewals, how long those are taken. Freedom Now, guys. And do tell me how you're feeling, because again, that's so important to us. We really want to know how you're feeling these days. Let's see. A lot of the questions are about the 39 country ban. Is the immigrant visa pause still in effect for Jamaica? Yes. Unfortunately, yes. For someone from one of the 75 countries who applied for adjustment of status in the U.S., is the case on freeze. The 39 country cases, if you're from one of the 39, then the adjudication pause was applicable to your case. But if it's from a country like Jamaica, then no. Although I've seen mixed things, I've heard mixed reviews, not from us, not from any of our cases, but I've seen other lawyers online say, oh, they are not even processing the I-130. I haven't seen that to be true. I just haven't seen that to be true for countries that are not part of the 39. I haven't seen that to be the case. But, lawyers have their various experiences. All right, freedom now, guys. Thank you for being with me today. Let's see. Are DACA recipients safe to do adjustment of status through 21-year-old U.S. citizen daughter? If that DACA holder has land and papers, an I-94, showing how he or she arrived in the United States, then yes, it is possible and safe. In some case, I don't know the rest of the background, if there's anything else to be concerned about, but generally speaking, it's possible to do adjustment of status. All right. Um, I've been waiting for almost 3 years now on my I-130, and I'm part of the 39 country. So unfair what the government is doing. Thank you. Um, Here's another one. I have my case for my husband, and he had an interview in January, but they did not give him a visa. Okay, right? Because of the visa pause, right? I, for those of you who are joining on TikTok, thank you so much. I covered important news earlier about Friday's decision by the court in Rhode Island, the Dorcas case involving the 39-country USCIS adjudication pause. I also discussed the 70 billion spending bill and via the reconciliation process through the Senate on Friday, and that it's poised now in the House and most likely will go through. We also talked about asylum, a new push that is being reported out by CBS News that would uh, would basically force people who have been here in the United States, who did not meet the 1 year deadline, to then just, if they filed, they would be placed right into the removal system for an immigration judge to take up their case. And we talked a little bit about denaturalization, how that is being ramped up. Do you know why DACA renewals are taking so long? I do not. I do not know why specifically they're taking so long. I applied for the I-130. My husband is a citizen. We live in Trinidad. I've been waiting since 2024. We have not received any interview date yet. So U.S. citizen filed for spouse. Trinidad is the country. Things have slowed down. You hear cases like this. It's frustrating, right? Because on the one hand, a lot of people are in this kind of situation. They filed this is an immediate relative filing from 2024. And then you heard cases in 2025, even cases we've talked about that, oh, this case was approved in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 8 months. And then you have cases like this one that the system lacks uniformity. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, hold on a second, guys. Keep going. Keep going. Let's go down. Someone says, I've been waiting for 4 years now for my I-485. You should get an appointment, book a consultation, whether it's with us or someone else, and talk about what's going on with that case, because that's an unreasonable delay there. Something is going on there with that I-485. You could consider filing a writ of mandamus in federal court to get that moving, because to me, that is a very long time to wait on the 485. The status of my husband after his interview says refuse because of the pause. What's next? What's next is we're waiting for the government to lift the pause so that the embassy can take your husband out of this administrative processing and issue the visa to him. Is everything still on pause? I'm confused. What's going on? Okay. Freedom now. Freedom now. Some great comments here on McBean Immigration TV. I don't see anyone telling me how they're feeling. And we were discussing that today, and no one wants to respond. And here we were talking about it. Are spousal visa processing resuming for Ghanaians married to U.S. citizens? Well, they are interviewing. I don't know anything about it, them stopping an interview. Did they stop interviewing spouses of U.S. citizens in Accra, Ghana? I had not heard anything about that. They should still be interviewing and then not issuing the visa, based on this awful pause, but interviews should still be happening. If you're out there and you're familiar with this embassy or had an experience with the Accra embassy, please weigh in. By the way, there is, you probably already saw the news concerning African U.S. embassies in African countries. They're looking to slash the number of embassies, drop it down to, I think, about 20 from about 50. Another immigration attorney who I follow covered this in her wonderful, wonderful posts. If I could get her name, might be Akua. Terrific. I think she's from Ghana too, actually. AP, maybe. So somebody needs to help me out. I'm asking my moderator to just put it here in the chat for me on Teams. I want to give a shout out to her because her and her team are doing a terrific job with immigration news. So yeah, they're slashing friends, the cutting, apparently closing these embassies in Africa. And so folks will need to travel all the way to some faraway place, another country potentially. I heard that the is it the Abuja? Is that what it is in Nigeria? That one is also is on the list. I need to move a little faster. Let's see something here. Give me a second, friends. Let's do this. Yeah, I think I'm right about that one. So therefore, only the Lagos embassy would be, yeah, Abuja. This is awful what they're doing, closing all of these embassies. It's going to obviously make it really difficult for people to get the interview, get their interview, and get their visa to come to the United States. Okay, let's go. Freedom now, guys. Let's go. No updates on the 75 country. When do you expect to hear something about the second round lawsuit? So litigation, this is what I'm saying, generally speaking. Litigation is unpredictable. Okay, so it's unpredictable, and it's hard to say. It's hard to say when we're going to hear something. We're going to be doing our temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. When those are filed, it's on an emergency basis, and usually, the court responds very quickly to set a hearing, and then the whole thing just really takes off from there. So I'm not promising that this will be a fast process. We never promised that. We have to wait and see how it's going to go. And I know you don't want to hear that, but like I said, based on preliminary, when you file an emergency temporary restraining order and you're also seeking a stay, which we're seeking a stay, normally the stay that's an immediate thing to keep status quo until the court makes further decisions about the case. So our first push is that stay, okay? Our first push is that stay. All right, guys, let's see. Freedom now. Let's see what other let's go down a little bit. My son is at the National Visa Center. He's been there since my son's case is at the National Visa Center, and it's been since 2020. He is over 21. How long is the wait time? So it's They will unlock the system to you to move forward with the case once his priority date becomes current. So that's really the key. Which category is he in, and whether it's current and a visa is available for him. So I think that's what's going on there. It sounds like you said he's an adult over 21, so that usually takes several years. And what I don't know, though, is whether he's married or not. If he's married, then you're looking at a very significant wait time. But check the visa bulletin to see what the government is up to. Married to a citizen with my 10-year green card. Okay. Should I apply for citizenship? Okay, so that's what that. Okay, so the should I apply for citizenship? If you're still together with your spouse, did you get your green card through the spouse? I suspect maybe yes, maybe that's why you've said married to a citizen. So uh I think naturalization is a great process and one that you could even take now if you have good moral character according to their new higher standard. And if you have a good, clean record, decent record, you could put a good application together and become a US citizen. All right. Now, I don't know if your case will fall into the pause. Guys, I still believe that something is not right there with USCIS and their processing of these cases. And I'm not the only one who thinks this way, okay? And I think some of you who are experiencing it, something's definitely going on. Um, let's see, let's go down a little bit. How about the applicants from outside of the US? Folks are still being approved, by the way, for their visas and coming into the United States, even as we speak, the folks from other countries, not the 75. What about those who have had their interviews for the I-130? What about them? I-130s are being reviewed and approved. Just depends on circumstances. Is it a ban or a pause? Which one? It's a pause, but there's a travel ban. That's different. That's a ban, travel ban. So it's obviously sometimes we do use it interchangeably, but the travel ban is a ban, and then the adjudication hold is a hold, or sometimes we refer to it as a pause because they're not going all the way up to final adjudication. So that's really the distinction there. And then with the 75 country, that's also a pause. They said, oh, we're going to put the brakes on this issuance of immigrant visas for individuals from 75 countries. We're only pausing it. We're letting you go all the way up until the end, and we're going to give you an interview exit letter, and there you go, and place you in administrative processing until we're ready to implement this really big public charge rule to totally revamp the discretion that embassy officers have to approve immigrant visas. And I suspect that they're making massive changes to the Foreign Affairs Manual because in last year, I remember reading one of the executive orders. It talked about stuff like that they're going to really change things up with the Foreign Affairs Manual and stuff. So I think there's a lot of work I think that's happening behind the scenes by the State Department that will impact immigrant visa and non-immigrant visa processing in days ahead. And you might be saying, what in the world happened in America that's leading to all these drastic changes? Were all of these changes necessary? Right? I think some people are thinking like, what in the world? What are they doing in America? Why? Okay. All right. Let's go down. Freedom now, guys. Are they processing the fiance visa for Jamaicans? Um, because I've submitted my application years, and it's been years now, that something isn't right there. You could certainly speak one-on-one with us to find out what's really going on there, because I don't see how the fiance process could take years to process, and it's usually a much faster process than that. Thank you, guys. If you have not yet started following, hit that follow on TikTok. Thank you so much for being here today. Okay. Let's see. It's 20 months. It's been 20 months since my U.S. citizen, my U.S. citizen child did AOS for myself and her husband. We were only given the work permit and we haven't heard anything else. See, this is another one. This is the pattern now. This is the pattern. We spoke about this earlier, right? Something isn't right. What is the average processing time for the I-751? Um, I don't know what the average time is. It's still all over the map. 8 months for some people, a year for others, 3 years for others. So I see it all over the map right now. So, oops, let's see. In 2018, I got approved for my I-130. They denied my I-485 because of a mistake with my attorney. I applied again. I'm still waiting on the interview. I won my first I-130 still, first I-130 still be approved and good. It should be. So here's someone who did I-130 and I-45. The I-130 was approved, 485 was not. Then he refiled the 485. It should still be good if you're still in a good marriage together with your spouse. Let's see. I applied to remove the conditions on my green card. Do I get an extension? Yes, it's a 48-month extension. And she's also asking, do I need to apply for the extension? I think you need to speak with an attorney. I think that there's some basic things that you've got to understand about this process. Please don't do this one on your own based on your questions. I really think you need some help, and we're happy to help you with that, okay? Don't do the removal of conditions on your own, ma'am. All right. Oops. There we go. I did that verification. Let's go down. Ooh, this is juicy. H-1B, $100,000 fee struck down. Okay, I have to look into that. That's juicy. Did that news just break? Yeah, last in, first out. Yeah, I think they're back to that with the asylum process. We'll have to look into that. I'll look into that, Amipat. Thank you. I'm doing a live session at this time. That's funny. Someone says, I'm no longer able to like YouTube videos since the update. I just don't like anything anymore. I don't like those. I don't like the videos anymore. That's good. That's fine. That's fine. I know it's like it's hard to like a video nowadays, right? Especially when it's, bad news, not great news. Why should you go ahead and hit that like button? Well, why should you do it? You should do it because it does help the creator. It helps me. It helps to send the video further, even though it's not great news. You don't have to like, obviously you're not going to like the information most times these days. But, if you want to support the creator and what the creator is trying to achieve, which is to send her message all over, then you like it. That's really the only reason you need to do it. Do we operate in the U.S. Virgin Island? No, we do not operate there, but we do consult with people there and work on cases for individuals who are living there. Okay, as like what we do for folks all across the world. Do judges make a final decision at a master hearing? No, they do not. It happens at another hearing called the individual or merits hearing, not at the master hearing. Normally, it doesn't happen at the master hearing. Someone says, I'm here just keeping hope alive. Okay, that's fair. You should still always be hopeful, guys. I've ordered removed in absentia in 2005. I have DACA. I'm 41 years old. Is it over for me? This is the question. Is it over for me? Ordered remove in absentia. It might not be. It might not be. I think you could still speak with us to see what happened there with the, with respect to the removal order and whether there's any opportunity to seek to rescind it and whether you have a pathway in front of you for a green card. I wouldn't just give up like that. Is there any hope for me, right? My husband spoke to your lawyer who promised to get back to him last Monday, and he hasn't received a call yet. Ariel is saying, Ariel, thank you for bringing that to my attention. The best thing to do in this context is to send us an email at info@mcbeanlaw.com and describe what happened there and your husband's name, and then we'll connect the dots, okay? Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to have to block individuals who are spamming, okay? Be careful with the spamming, because that's not good manners. Okay. Let's see. A lot of questions about the 39 country ban. There's still a lot that we don't know, guys. Today's only Monday, right? It's only Monday. The Dorcas decision came out on Friday. There's a lot that needs to happen in order for us to have something very significant to discuss next, okay? So bear with me. There's only so much that I do know at this point. No one knows everything. We speculate that the government will seek a stay and an appeal and then go to the U.S. Supreme Court. The timing of things we don't know for sure, but I expect that the government's big push is going to be any minute now because it's just that big and a very important decision. So they're not sitting on this one, I suspect. So that's what I know so far. And then secondly, based on experience only, I don't think that the agency is going to fully comply with this in a swift manner. It could be a slow process on the compliance side, and it could be a creative process on the compliance side that could continue to lead to frustration and slowdown and denials too, potentially. I don't know. So let's just give it some days to see how this shakes out, okay? This is on the 39 country side. And we have our cases out there that we're fully litigating, and every day there's all these different steps that need to happen all across in Boston, and then now we have Maryland, and we have individual lawsuits too that we're working on. So it's a big push. Guys, we take these individual injunction cases. If you have, let's say it's a work permit matter and you really need to get that work permit processed, and because you have a job on the line, or financial loss ahead of you, well, consider an individual suit. We will be very straightforward with you and let you know what it's like in your jurisdiction, because your individual suit has to be filed where you're located, right? And so we'll talk with you about jurisdiction and timeline and all of the things that you're going to need to know going into this lawsuit, um, and then get it filed for you. For some people, they need a mandamus because they've been waiting like a year, 2 years, or however long, right? And there's just a terrible wait. We do the mandamus, so some people will need a mandamus to attack the unreasonable delay with the case. So, have a consultation with us, and we'll tell you what we think the best way forward for you is. So we're going to wrap up today's live session. Thank you so much for being with me. We're, again, reachable at McBean Law 7 days a week at 914-898-9488, or you could email us at info@mcbeanlaw.com, and we would be happy to have a consultation with you to go over your immigration case and your background. Thank you guys so much for being with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.